Hi. Hi. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Can you hear my voice? Someone say they can hear my voice. Okay, great. I'm going to start recording on all my various devices here. We're recording now. I'm going to clap my hands a couple times so that I know that I'm recording. Welcome to the stream, everybody. How's everybody doing? Hungover from a friend stream last night. Shut up, Foxito. Cool, nice. Yes. We're gonna wait just a few more seconds. Oh no, it's 9. We can start right now. So, hi, welcome to the stream. We're gonna be talking about this friend right here, the Polyend Tracker. This is something that is not released yet. It was supposed to be properly announced at Super Booth, but Super Booth is canceled, pretty much like everything else. So, Loopop did a very good video on it already. And I suggest that you go watch Loopop's video on it if you want to get the haps. Like, he did like full thorough thing, and it's a really good technical overview of the whole thing. But we're just gonna like talk about it again because people wanted to talk about it. Hanging pictures, that's cool. I was thinking about doing some art hanging as well. It's a good time to do that kind of stuff. So before we get started talking about the tracker, I want to just sort of zoom out real quick, because I can now, and show you what's going on with this live stream setup and my trail mix. So this over here is the Blackmagic A10 Mini. It is it's like a HDMI streamer switching thing, and it's plugged directly into the Atomos Ninja that I have that's recording the output from my Sony A7 III. I'm going into here via this HDMI cable, and then it's going into my computer via USB, which means I can use my Sony and this zoom lens to actually live stream, which is really nice. Yes, Jiro, the background music is this, and we're gonna get into it in just a second. Audio is going into my Zoom here, and out of the Zoom via line out into the microphone input of the A10, which is a little fiddly, but it's okay, and then it's all going into OBS. This is the first time I've actually had like a streaming setup that actually works, so to speak, quote unquote, and it's really nice. And also Blackmagic gave me this, and they really were desperate for me to talk about it in a video, so I have fulfilled my duty. One of the cool things I can do with this is I can switch between stills. Yeah, look at that. I'm like a Twitch streamer now. I'm gonna start saying terrible things to people online and become really famous. Anyways, so let's zoom back in to our friend. There we go. All right. So the Polyend Tracker. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with trackers, but trackers are a older form of music software. There's actually some still modern ones right now that are popular, like Renoise, that work in this sort of like grid format. And you can see here that I've got all of these little notes here scrolling down the screen. And those are all of the events that are happening that you're hearing. And the pattern sounds different now because I'm not in perform mode, which is a really cool thing that I can show you in a little bit. But I think what I want to do first is talk about how trackers work. So what we're going to do is we'll come back to this pattern, but let's go ahead and make a new pattern. Oh, there's something very important I want to do with y'all. Very important. So let's zoom in. There we go. Okay. Are you ready? Here we go. Oh, very special event for all of you and me. I hope you're happy. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. We've done that. Now we can zoom back out. Come on, lens. Zoom. Okay, cool. So each one of these little things on here is an event, and we're going to go to pattern 2. So first, let's talk about the build quality and what's going on here. The build quality is excellent. This is metal, and all these are clicky buttons. They feel like mechanical keyboard buttons. These are soft keys, like Ableton push kind of keys. I'm spitting everywhere. These are clicky buttons as well. So the build quality is really, really nice. On the back, we have a line out, a line in. What else? It's powered by USB. It can be powered by a USB brick, but it does not have an internal battery like some of the rumors said it did. What else we got back here? Let me put my fat head in the thing. We can talk about it. SD card slot, micro SD, which is how you get stuff in and out. You can put a big old micro SD card in there. MIDI in, MIDI out via the little 1/8 inch MIDI jacks. So you need one of those adapters that like the Keystep and stuff like that uses if you want to use MIDI. But all in all, got a lot going on. Probably not going to sample today. We're not going to sample into it. Loopop does that in his video. So I don't think we really need to cover that. All right. So I made a new pattern by holding down this pattern button and scrolling the jog wheel. There's our first pattern that we're listening to. I can go to pattern 2. Now you can also see that these lights down here are corresponding to something. That means that I can actually use these buttons to navigate all the patterns up to 48. So this is 48 down here. Here's pattern 1. Here's pattern 2. It's very intuitive. Adapters sold separately. Maybe. Okay, sorry. I went real quiet when I moved away. Let me just go over that again. Micro SD card slot, line in, line out, all, and MIDI in, MIDI out, all via the 1/8 inch jacks that like the OP1 has and stuff like that. Why is iOS so ridiculous about opening YouTube links in the app from email? Probably because it hates you and Apple is a terrible company. And now we're overexposed. Let's go ahead and drop that there. Okay, cool. So we moved on to pattern 2. A lot of the controls on this have a corresponding button that you can press down here, which is really, really nice. So if I hit play right now, you can see that we're scrolling down this list of things. Hopefully, can you all tell me if you can see the screen okay? Is it high contrast enough? It looks like it's pretty high contrast in the screen, but we're going to zoom in on the screen just for fun. Okay, so I can use the jog wheel to navigate around this thing here. You can see boop, boop, boop. Right now it's green, which means it's just in like preview mode, not really doing anything. So if you want to start putting events into here, you can do that in a few ways, but obviously you would need some samples loaded in. So over here is a sample loader button. We'll hit that. Welcome to the sample loader. Over here on the right, you can see that I have a bunch of samples loaded. Look at all that. Blump, blump, blump. And if I want to load a new sample, I can go down to a blank slot, like 31, scroll over here to my samples, hit enter. And here's a bunch of samples. So go into stabs. Let's see. And I can hit add. And you can see while I'm doing this, see this little memory thing here? It says 19%. You can see that little tiny slice of red on top, which would change depending on how big the sample is. That's going to tell you how much memory you're going to end up using when you load that sample. So that's really cool. Yeah, you can see at the top there, it's a little bit more red, blah, 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 depending on the size of the thing. So that's cool. So I just loaded 2 new samples in there. You can obviously preview them. I believe the screen is OLED. And don't worry, I'm recording this in nice ProRes and uncompressed audio to go online afterwards. So while we will have the stream archive with the chat and all that kind of stuff, there'll be a nice version up later. So this is a project that I started a while ago. We can go through different projects and stuff like that, but I just wanted to show you how to load samples in here. So exiting the sample loader, the next thing that we have are hairs all over everything. So instrument parameters. So let's go ahead and load an instrument or focus on an instrument by pushing the instrument button. Here's that list of samples that I just loaded up. Here's one of the chords that I just loaded up. And again, you can see down here that we do have like a chromatic keyboard now. I think C5 is like right here. So in the instrument control thing, you have volume, panning. You can tune it. So these are sort of like the base parameters for your sound. Fine tune, which I don't need to do. There is a multi-mode filter. You only really get access to one of them in here, so like at a time. So we've got a low pass filter with resonance. You hear a little clipping there with full resonance on. High pass, band pass. Come on, baby. There we go. Resonance, and we'll go ahead and put this back to disabled. Actually, we'll put this to low pass. Reverb send. So this reverb sounds really bad right now. I am on firmware 0.9.59b. We are not in, what do you call it, firmware 1.0 yet. And one of the things that will happen is they are going to rework the reverb completely. So it'll sound a lot better. Right now it sounds like ass. All right, instrument parameters. Okay, so we looked at this page. If I hit instrument parameters again, I get to the envelope and LFO page. So volume, panning, cutoff, wavetable position, and granular position. All of these can be manipulated by a LFO and envelope. So actually, let's go back to sample loader and go down here, and let's load a wavetable up so that I can show that off. Let's see, wavetables. Sure, we'll just use that one. All right, instrument parameters. Hold down instrument to select that. Okay, so volume and envelope. Volume has an envelope and LFO. You have 4 envelope shapes. Rev saw, which is sort of like almost, you can use it as a sidechain compressor, which is really nice. Saw, which is, you know, a classic saw. Triangle, saw is going to be like that. Boom, boom. Triangle, which is going to be like that, and then square, which is square wave, blah, blah, blah. All of these can be synced to, let's see, up to 6, which is the slowest. I've asked for slower LFOs, which they say they might do. So one of the things about working with Polyend on this is they've been very like upfront about their bug tracking and roadmap for everything, which is cool. So I'm not going to go to every single one of these, but I do want to show off like wavetable position. So here's our wavetable. If we go to LFO, let's see. Oh, there are slower wavetables in here. That's nice. Excuse me, slower LFOs. That's really cool. Let's go to triangle. Oh, I forgot. I need to go to sample playback. So right now we're in one-shot mode. You can do forward loop, backward loop, ping pong loop, slice, wavetable, and granular. I was not in wavetable mode, so sorry about that. Now we're in wavetable mode. Isn't that cool? So let's go back to instrument parameters and turn this down. Go to sample playback and change the position. There, now we have a traveling wavetable. One of the things that I have noticed about when you switch to wavetable mode is I sometimes like to turn the tune down so it's not quite so high pitched. So we can actually manipulate that even more, but if you just want to have a wavetable like traveling via that thing, that's something you can do. One of the things I like to do is go into this and change this to rev saw. And now you have sort of like a, what do you call it? Almost sidechained wavetable thing going on, which is cool. And you can go to cutoff and do the same thing. Rev saw. And then go to instrument parameters. There, now you have something kind of interesting. I guess. So let's go ahead and turn this off. All right, cool. So let's go, and I think that's it for this area. Does this? Can I move on from this? Grid note layout is the same as the Deldrum Lindstrom, right? Grid layout, note layout. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe. Does anyone have any questions about this section or this section real quick before I move on? Anyone? Anyone? I'm going to slurp some coffee. Welcome to ASMR with Red Beans Recording. Each row is a fourth. Seems like each row is an octave. Kind of hard to tell with this sound. No, each row is an octave. Okay, so let's go into sample playback. Change a different instrument. Let's go ahead and load a different instrument into here so I can show off some of these other ones. Let's go to here and go into, let's see, what did I want? Let's go into static goldmine, drum loops, classic. AS. Okay. Are the buttons at the bottom clicky or soft pads? These ones right here? These are soft. Soft. Okay. So I just loaded a, what do you call it? A loop, a drum loop in here. I'm going to go into sample playback. Yes. Oh my God, static goldmine. Just let me, quick little diversion. When I got this thing, I wanted to go back in time and grab like all of the really classic sample CDs. So static goldmine and Zero G's data file. So I went and grabbed all of those, and now I have all the really classic rave samples that ever existed. So I'm going to try to use this as like an old school rave box. So let's go into slice. I am doing something here that I don't want to be. Okay, slice. This is cool. We're going to hit auto slice. It's going to ask if I want to rewrite the slices. Yeah, go for it. See all those slice points? AS. Anyways, now we have slices. So each slice is controlled in here by a pad. You can hear that. Let's go ahead and zoom in on these slices. Let's see if they fixed the thing yet. There's a little bit of clicking. Sometimes the slice points aren't exactly where you want, so you can adjust each slice point a little bit by doing this. The farther you are you zoomed in, the more control you have over that. So that's cool. You can also remove a slice point or add a slice point. So I don't know if the color is washed out to the point where you can't see that this slice point that I've selected is a little bit red, like almost like tomato soup, and this one is an orange. The one that's red is the one that you have control over right now. Now, if I want to add a slice point, I'm going to hit add, and it's going to try to put it in between the two slice points that I've hit add between. So I'm going to remove that. It's a little quiet. I'm sorry, this particular sample is a little quiet. So let me go ahead. I'm assuming the tracker is quiet and not me. So let's go ahead and go into the, what is it? Sample editor. And we can go ahead and make this louder. Okay, so this is the sample editor. This is a new sort of thing that they added recently. We can change the start point of the thing. We can change the end point. We can still zoom in if we want, which is really nice. But here, let's do this. Let's go down to limiter, and we'll go ahead and zoom back out. And select effect. Let's see, threshold. Is this what I want? No, let's use compressor. Select effect. There's no normalize in here. I just want, oh, amplifier. Derp. We can bring that up a little bit. Let me know when the ass is the right volume. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of clipping. Whatever, we'll hit apply. So now we got a lot bigger waveform. That's nice, right? And there are some other effects in here too, like crop reverse delay, bit crusher, chorus, flanger, limiter, and compressor. I do believe that Loopop goes through all of these in his video, so I'm not going to bother. One thing I will talk about here is just sort of like, so you hit select effect, then you can, hit these parameters here, like this is the bit crusher. And then you have to hit process, preview, and then you hit apply. There's no real-time effect stuff. Are they effects destructive, or can you reverse them? They are non-destructive to the sample on the SD card, but they are destructive to the sample that you have loaded into your instrument pool. Does that make sense? So you can go back and load this same sample if you want from the SD card. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Basically, when you look at the SD card for a project, and this is one of the things I like about the way this thing works, is that it collects all the samples that you've pulled into the sample pool, unlike the Digitact or something, which sort of makes like a pointer to that sample. This thing is like, okay, well, this sample is now in the folder for this project, and if you want to back that project up, you'll always have it, which is really, really cool. So now that we have a louder sample, let's go back to sample playback. Our slices are still there, which is cool. One thing about this is, let's go into our pattern and just lay down some quick notes so I can show you how to deal with sort of timing of things that have like a linear time, like a breakbeat or something like that. So we're going to hit record. Now, you can see here that this little highlight is on this left part of the bar. Each one of these things up here is, let's see if I hit shift pattern. I can't remember how to go to the next thing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are your 8 tracks. There's 8 channels on here. It's mono, monophonic. There are many ways to enter notes. Let's see, what's it? Yeah, makes sense. You can reload the sample from disk as its untouched version. That's absolutely correct. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, so if you hit record, you're now in step record mode. There's a live record mode as well. And you can see that the highlight is over the leftmost part of this. That's the note part. Then there's instrument, which is what sample you're going to be playing back, and then 2 effects channels, which we'll get into in a little bit because that's actually how you like deal with slicing. So in note mode, I can use the jog wheel to enter a note, or I can use the keyboard to enter steps. I'm going to hit undo. All right. I can also change the step length down here to 4. And let's say I wanted to put in a kick drum. There's my kick drum. What I did was I went and hit instrument, and then I was able to scroll through. Whoops. Still a little tiny bit rusty with this thing. Hitting instrument lets me scroll through all the instruments or samples that I have loaded. So we're going to go over to that kick drum. And since I hit step 4, every time I hit a step now in record mode, it's going to put it on every 4. So that's good for putting in kick drums like that. So now I have a kick drum. So I basically just showed you how to enter a note and how to enter an instrument value. Does that make sense? With note being C5 and the instrument being 01, which is the kick drum sample. And if you go into your instruments, you can see that instrument 1 would be a kick. Let me know if that makes sense, because it's the foundation upon all of this will be built on. Okay, cool. I have 1 yes, and that's enough for me. We're going to go to channel 2. Let's pick a different instrument. Go into record mode. Where's my bass sample? There is a bass. Okay, cool. So I've chosen 17. I'm going to go back to step 1. So that means that I'm now entering on a value of 1. Actually, I want to change this to 3 because I want to kind of like offbeat bass line. So let's go to note. I've chosen 17 as my sample. Oops. So I chose a step value of 3, which gave me a dotted eighth note, and I was able to just plug in the notes that I wanted. And now I have a kick and a bass, which is fun. Go over to track 3, and let's see. I'm going to use the fill mode for this. Fill mode is something that will fill every step or every third step or however you want with instruments that you want. So first of all, I want to find our instrument. Let's go ahead and go into the instrument channel. I want a hi-hat. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to hold Shift and up, which is going to select every single, what do you like it? Every single step. And you can see that if I hold Shift and down, I can select a range of steps, and that's useful later for copying, pasting, and adjusting. But I'm going to hit Shift up at the top of the track, and that's going to give me access to all the steps now. So I've chosen instrument 5. I'm going to hit fill. I'm going to burp off camera here. Excuse me. Yes, I like the bass. That's why I'm leaving it there. Okay. So, over on the left-hand side, I want... Oh, okay. So I actually hit fill instruments. Whatever you hit up here, effects, FX2, instrument, or note, it's going to highlight that as the fill mode. So actually, I just want to start with note here. And I want to go to, let's see, note and no scale, constant, and I want the note to be C5 because that's the bass note here. Now, if I hit fill, this should fill everything in. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try it again. Each one. How about that? Fill. All right, cool. Can you add swing to certain notes? Swing is one of the things that I hate about this thing. Do you have more resolution than 4 steps, or do you have to use a higher BPM? It's been years since I used a tractor. I moved away to yes, I moved away. Can you add swing to certain notes? Okay, first question: do you have to have more resolution than 4 steps, or can you have more resolution than 4 steps? Yes. Using one of the FX slots, which we will get into in a second. If you hold down effects, you get a chance to go through all the different effects, and we will go through this. If you hit roll, which is this one right here, and again, you can use these buttons to navigate. Hit roll, and you have a bunch of roll options. You can hear them previewing, which is pretty dope. So, can you hear that micro timing that was just added there? Can you hear that? That's you can have more resolution. Yeah. So what I wanted to do, what was the other question? Swing. Swing is something that I've asked them to change because right now you have to use an effects channel to do swing. You have to use, God, what is it? There's like a micro timing thing in here, or just like a micro move thing, this one right here, and they expect you to like dial in using an effect channel for every single thing, for every single step, your swing, and I don't play that way. I just want global swing. So I'm really hoping they add global swing to this. Yeah, it's not great. It sucks. Okay, so I wanted to go back to fill real quick. We are in an effects channel, which is what I want. I'm going to go to fill again. We are in each one. That's fine. We want to go to volume, right here, volume. And we want to go, let's see, random from 50 is going to be your midpoint. So let's go down to 30 and put this to 50. And then hit fill. You piece of shit. I didn't have everything selected. Let's do that again. Fill. Okay, now you can see that it's added a volume thing on every single, a volume effect on every single step. And you can also see that when I'm in a different mode, that this grid thing down here moves around. And that is because you can use these pads here to select the value for whatever section you're in here. So that wasn't actually as dramatic as I'd like. So let's go down to 9. There we go. So now you can hear that using fill, I just added a sort of randomized volume to that hi-hat thing, which is cool. So that's a way to not have to go in and add distinct values to everything. So now that we have a hi-hat, we can have multiple instruments on every single track. So, and that's very useful when you're limited to 8 tracks. They will cut each other off. They'll choke each other, which I know sounds weird to say, but that's the term for it. So here is my open hi-hat right here. I just put that on there. So if I wanted an open hi-hat on every offbeat, I could go to steps. I could go to 4 from here. I could copy that and then hit shift paste, 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 shift paste. And now I should have an offbeat hi-hat. Yeah. Yeah, Phil is a very cool guy, Hero. He does a lot of work for us. I really appreciate all the work that he's doing. So you can see that once you start to understand the layout of this and how the different tools interact and how your step thing down here interacts and your fill stuff, despite this being a rather clinical way of dealing with making music, it's kind of, what do you call it? Kind of spreadsheety, like someone said in the chat earlier. You really have access to a lot of tools to help you move through things really, really quickly, which is nice. So we added, let's see, there's a bass line, there's that. I showed you that you can copy and paste things, and you can copy and paste using the different step amounts, so you can quickly navigate through your thing. Does copy pasting transfer to all 4 lanes of the channel? You can select to copy a certain part of it. So let's go ahead and change this step to 6. I believe this is what's going to happen. Let's see, shift paste. So this is at 7v7. No, it changed the whole thing. I thought that there was a way to do that, but I guess maybe I was wrong. So no, it's going to copy all the lanes. I could be wrong on this. There are a lot of little tiny things about this that I still haven't completely mastered yet, but I thought there was a way to copy and paste just instrument settings and velocity settings and stuff like that. I could be wrong. How's the volume for everybody? Is this thing still really quiet? I can go to the master thing and turn it up a bit if you want. And I can show you the master channel. It's better? Okay, cool. I'm going to show you the master channel anyways. Volume for the master channel. Or for the master for the whole thing. Turn it up. Well, okay, just so you know, the gain staging between this whole setup is really messed up, and I don't want to clip. So you do have to let me know if I start clipping. We have a reverb size, reverb damp. Again, this reverb's getting rewritten. One of the cool things here is we have a bit depth for the whole thing. So if you want to go down to like 10 bits, you can get like a little bit of that old school sort of like sampler sound. We'll go ahead and leave this at 16. A limiter. So let's go ahead and turn this down and limit ourselves. You can hear some distortion happening, but it does crunch it in a nice way. I think the tracker is right. Your voice is clipping, yeah? Let me know if that's clipping, if the tracker's clipping now. Okay. Sorry about clipping. Again, this will all be available via a non-clipping thing via a better upload later. Still very bad at live streaming, just so y'all know. We also have this channel. If you hit master twice, you have access to mute groups, or not mute groups, but you can mute different channels. So that's nice. There's a much better perform page we'll look at in a second, but it is nice to have instant access to mutes right here. Let's go back to pattern and talk about what else we could do. Okay, we made that slice, right? We made that sliced breakbeat. So let's go ahead and find that by hitting instrument, hitting record. There it is. So you only hear that one slice that you last hit. One of the feature requests for this is to put be able to play the slices chromatically in this mode, because right now you can't, which is frustrating. So let's go to 2 steps. Let's go and hit effects 1, and this is how you manipulate slices. So if I hit effects 1 and go to slice, now I have, oops, step 0. So now we're just going to affect this step. So you can hear that this effect allows me to move through the different slices. Okay, anyways, that's enough ass. So we're going to, let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and put some of these in. I don't need to do this. I can do this. Okay, cool. Let's go over to our effects. We're just putting in random slices. And let's go to master. Master, is that track 4? Okay, so now we have a really bad thing. It sounds like we could use some more slices in there. So let's go ahead and put more in. And great. Okay, instrument. FX1, so we're back in that slice channel. Whoops. I want this to be, let's see, we go to step 2, so we're going to affect every other one. Yes, you can apply the slicer to randomizer to the slice section. So you can hear that there's a little bit of space in between each slice, and that's because this particular breakbeat is a little faster in tempo than our project is, and you know that's down here in song we're at 120. So you know I could speed up the song if I wanted to, but that's not what I want to do. So with this instrument playing, whoops, pattern 2. I'm going to go to instrument parameters, and you can see it has my loop selected down here. I'm going to go into tune. And just tune it down a little bit, I guess. It's not a great slice, so we're not going to have an amazing seamless thing going on here, but it's absolutely possible to get like seamless breakbeats. And at the end of this video, I will play the mod that I made, the song that I made for the demo for this thing, and it's like a you know, sort of jungle track, and it uses a shit ton of slice breakbeats, and you'll be able to hear that like it's very, very possible if you know the tempo of your breakbeat and the tempo of your song to get all your slices really nicely lined up. So we will go back into here. Does that explain slice mode pretty well to y'all? You have your note still, so you can still play chromatic notes. You have your instrument, which is the breakbeat instrument or breakbeat sample, and then one of your effects is going to be slice, which is going to change the slices. It's not very good right now, sorry. Go ahead and just delete that. Delete. Okay, cool. What else can I show off? Let's see. Instruments. What other instruments do we have? So I've shown you that you can have multiple instruments on one thing, which is cool. What's this? Okay, let's show off. You can actually what do you call it? you can have the fill thing randomize or swing between different slices. So I want this instrument to be... Okay, 22. 22 is good. All right. D, 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 D. Chord. Shift up to select the whole thing. Fill. We want to fill instrument, not note, not effects. We want to do instrument. We're going to go random from, I think this is 20. So let's do 20 to 23 or 24. And each one fill. I mean, something you can do. It's just an easy way to get into being able to really like modulate. Gosh, all right, can't talk. It's an easy way to get in there to be able to like quickly add like automation lanes to things in various ways. What else can we talk about? Let's talk about the effects. So I want to load a longer sample in here, sample loader, and we'll go into here. Do I have like pads? Yeah. That's beautiful. Effects on some chord stabs? Oh yeah, I guess we have some chord stabs. I was trying to get a longer sample. This one, first one's not bad. But it's major, so that's not really going to work for what we're doing here. Come on, work with me. That was Goldmine. Let's do data file. There we go. I guess that's fine. I really like a chord. Anyways, that's fine. Whatever. Whatever. Pattern. Okay. Instruments. We're going to select that instrument. Okay. How much memory does it have? I don't know off the top of my head exactly how much RAM it is per project. This instrument's really loud, isn't it? Let's go ahead and record. I did not change my instrument. Do every 6. Hey, stop that. I'm in instrument mode, that's why it keeps on changing. Okay, I have to go back to note mode. And I have to unmute it. Hey. Did I pick the wrong instrument? I did. There we go. Yeah, I think I can absolutely do dark techno. There is some, what do you call it, chance conditions and stuff like that. So it can do probability, which is nice. Let's go ahead and go into this instrument and turn down the low pass. All right, so let's go into our pattern again. And let's show off some of the effects. FX1. What do we got for effects? Well, we have effects off, volume. So this will override the volume control in instrument parameters. Panning, same thing. Microtune glide. Glide is fun. So let's go ahead and select glide and turn it up. And you can hear it gave me a real-time preview. Yes, there is live playing into trackers. You can live play into here. So I just use the glide function, the glide effect, to add glide to each one of those notes. So that's cool. We'll leave the glide on there and go to FX2. Let's see what else we have. Tempo. Tempo effects, I don't 100% know how they work. I believe that you can actually change the entire tempo of the pattern per step, which is kind of neat, I guess. Micro move, this is a nudge off the grid, and actually this micro move thing will be applied automatically if you play live into the tracker, because you're not a machine. It's going to hit quite a little bit off the beat. So this does inherently have unquantized recording, if that's something that you're into. I know a lot of people don't like to always be on the grid. Chance. So this is a chance to hit from 0 to 100 or 0 to 50. I can't remember what the parameter is for this thing. So 0. Let's go ahead and change our steps to 0 so we can just work on this step. 0 to 100, yeah. One thing you'll notice as I go through here that while you can use these little friends to change the number for each parameter, you're not going to get, like, you can see how it goes from 2 to 4 to 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 17 for that value. It's because there's not 100 things here. So you can use this to go down into, decrements and increments of 1. If you use one effects now to alternate between tempo between two values, you can get swing that way as well. Yeah, that's a good point. This video is making you feel like you need to spend more time with your Digitact. Yeah, I can understand that. The Digitact is a really, really well realized piece of machinery, and I have a lot of respect for it after spending more time with it. Let's go back into our effects and see what else we got. Roll. We went over roll earlier. There's a lot of different roll modes and roll values. So that's really cool. Random note. You can have this play a random note if you put this on here, and the parameter effect number will affect how much. Random instrument. So this might be an easier way to get what we were dealing with earlier, where I made that really terrible vocal chop thing. And random instrument as an effect, you can do 0 to 100, and that will dictate like how much through your sample pool it's going to try to pick an instrument from. Random effects value, random volume, reverse sample playback. This is very good. You can select to reverse the sample. So that's cool. Very good for breakbeats and like chopped breakbeats. You can reverse them and make those really glitchy like square pusher things, which is really cool. Position, so the sample position where the sample is being started. Slice, we went over slice for breakbeats. Volume LFO, panning LFO, filter LFO, position LFO, low pass filter, band pass filter, high pass filter. So even though in the instrument parameters you have like one filter at a time, you can actually turn the band pass and high pass filters on within the context of the tracker here, and have a value for that filter, even though it's not necessarily enabled. If you do random note in fill mode, it writes. If you do random note in the fill mode, it writes it. If you do it in the effects track, it changes every time you play it. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Reverb sends, which I'll never use until they fix the reverb. And then we have some MIDI CCs, which is really useful if you're using this as an external sequencer. So that's cool. One more thing I'd like to show off in note mode. If you go all the way down to the bottom here, you can actually set the note to off, cut, or fade. And this is really useful when you maybe have introduced like a particular wavetable that is going to play forever, like with a long sustain, or like if you have an effect, like a reverse effect, like a crash or something like that that's playing, and you want it to cut off on the next thing, you can put like, what do you call it? Your mic is driving, clipping a bit. Let me just turn my mic down a little bit. How about that? Is that a little bit better? Sorry, again, I'm not a really good streamer. I need time and offline energy to be able to process all this stuff. So you could set values for each filter type and then switch between the filters while the pattern is running. Yeah, I believe you can. You want to try that real quick? Let's try that real quick. Effects 2. Yeah, it's not clipping in my Zoom, which I'm recording into, which is over here on the side, but the gain staging for the thing that I'm using here, the ATEM Mini, is pretty wonky. So, and since I'm not monitoring through the audio interface because the latency is really bad, I'm not able to hear exactly how it's sounding to y'all. So thanks for letting me know. Let's go ahead and try that thing that T-Mad just mentioned. So let's go into FX2. We will select, let's see, low pass for this one. Hey. Low pass. And a value. About 91. And then we'll select band pass. 95. And then we'll select high pass. You can hear that filter is giving us a preview of what's going on. We'll go back to low pass. Low pass. So each step now has a different value for a different filter on it. Now I also believe that what you can do is go to a blank thing here. FX2, let's go to low pass. Let's change this to every 6 and set the low pass to 100. Now you can hear that step without a note in it is still having an effect on it. So let's make this even crazier. Let's go into FX1 and select roll and pick a roll amount. Let's see, let's do that here. So now I have a low-pass filter opening up to 100 on random steps here. Well, not random steps, but steps that don't have a trig on them. And then over here, I have the roll effect going. And in combination, you get cool stuff, I guess. And I had the glide effect, obviously, on every one of the things. So if you wanted to, you could use fill, or you could use yourself. Could you autofill between steps with values already in them while doing this? I saw you do that earlier. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, you can stack effects, up to 2 effects per each channel on each step, and have them on things that don't have trigs, and which I'm now going to call every step because I'm too used to calling them for the Electron videos. And just get some really cool stuff. We can take this a little bit further. Let's go into our sample loader and load up this and this. I haven't tried this before. I'm just kind of fucking around right now. Let's go into instrument and record. Here's 35. What happens if we do 36? Well, it's not exactly what I wanted, but you get the picture. You can swap between instruments too and just get like all kinds of very cool like effect stuff. Let me go ahead and undo that. Oops. Cool. I actually like that better, so let's go ahead and do 31 for that. 31 is this guy. Where's the kazoo sample? Fuck you. Fuck you. So that's just one channel that we just sort of spent some time with, going through the different aspects of the controls for this. And you can see that you can get a lot using effects with the tracker. And that's where the power of this sort of starts to come out, where, you know, you can obviously make like a sort of cheesy house beat, but you can also get really granular with how you're controlling stuff and pack a lot into one of the 8 channels and just get weird. I don't know if all of you are familiar with the history of trackers, but a big history of these things is in video game music. You know, LSDJ and the Game Boy, stuff like that. Use a tracker sort of environment to make the music, and they only have 4 channels. So yeah, there's a lot of power you can do in here. You could use this as a chiptune machine if you wanted to. EasyXC, did I hear you can have multiple instruments per channel? Yeah, if you go to the instrument button right here, which is this yellow thing here. Actually, I showed it off over here. So in track 3, you can see that 5 is my instrument. That's a closed hi-hat. 7 is an open hi-hat. And so I have 5 and 7 in the same thing. And you can see that it's giving me feedback as to which instrument is where here. And that's what that open hi-hat is doing. Let's see, go ahead and master. Yeah, you can change instruments per row, as TMAD says. So that's cool. Let's go ahead and just add a snare to this. Let's see, what do I got? Whoops. As I'm doing this, I will mention that when I first got this, it was extremely in beta. And I actually, some of my pads down here weren't responding anymore. Yeah, EasyXC, exactly like on the Digitect. Oh, that's really cool, Foxito. I did not know that. Some of my pads down here actually stopped working, and I was like, oh shit, this is attack of the Polyend curse, which, yeah, no, like, with the Medusa, they had some issues, I guess, and I was really concerned that, like, that was going to be the problem again. But it's not. They actually fixed it via firmware. It's been really nice seeing them respond to all the stuff that people are asking. All right, bye, Andre. I'll upload the rest of it later. So what I'm saying is that, like, I was a little concerned based on the beta that I got that this thing was going to be like a buggy piece of shit, but it has blossomed into a wonderfully stable piece of kit. All right, there's a snap. Pretty amazing, right? Okay, so I feel like I've shown off how this works. The main tracking area. We've gone over notes. We've gone over instruments. So note, instrument. We've gone over effects channels and the various types of effects that there are, and how you can add them as sort of silent events. So you can add them to notes that don't have, excuse me, you can add them to steps that don't have notes on them to get cool, what do you call it? Cool effects. I don't know why I'm so bad at talking. Is this a problem with quarantine? Like, I just stopped being able to talk properly. I think it is. And that's how you would put stuff on here. Down here, we've already gone over the step thing, which allows you to move through this by a certain number of steps when you're putting in trigs, which is really nice. Length. Length is your pattern length. You can see right now that this is going to stop at 32 beats, 32 steps, which is, what do you call it? Four bars? 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. It's 2 bars. I can change this to 64 if I wanted to, and that would be fun. But it wouldn't have the rest of my stuff in there. So if I change this to 64, you see that now I don't have nothing. So that's no good. So how would I fix that? Well, I can go like, let's see, like this. Oh yeah, look at all that selected. Copy. And then I can go down to here and hit Shift Paste. Now I should have a 64 step thing. very easy to copy events, and I already showed we can copy sections if we wanted to. I can also copy between patterns if I want to. So hit copy, I have to be in edit mode first. I made that mistake a while ago. Hit copy, go to pattern 3, and hit pattern shift paste. And now I've just pasted the pattern that I had before. And the reason that this is nice is because the way that I've been working with the tracker to make like songs, and I'll show off the song mode in a second, is by usually copying, like let's say I have like a section that I want some variation in. It's going to play for like 8 bars total. I would copy the pattern to the next pattern, make the changes that I wanted, and then in the song mode, I would alternate between patterns. So that's kind of cool. So we have this new pattern here. What if I wanted to change this? Let's see, steps. This is on every 3, and I want the instrument to be 32. Hey. Okay. So that's the pattern 2 that we made. And you can hear in pattern 3 that little stab changes a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but I don't know if we have an instrument that. How about 22? Be more apparent. So that's how you might like make variations of patterns and sequence them. So if I go into song mode, there are a couple different ways to deal with sort of performing or making a song on the tracker. And song mode is sort of like the more traditional like arranger. Yes, it has a song mode and it's good. So the way that this works is you add slots and choose patterns. So you can see I'm getting instant feedback as to what pattern I'm using here. And if I hit play song, I need to go up here. See this little line moving down? So yeah, this is a way that you can put patterns after each other, pattern chain, and make a song. And just to talk about sort of like the philosophy of like making something that's like 4 on the floor like this, I guess, you know, obviously you can go crazy and each pattern can be different and stuff like that. But I generally like to do like 1, 2, 1, 3. And what 1 would be is like the initial thing, 2 would have a little bit of variation, go back to 1, and then 3 would have like the fill to go into the next section. You can see we have a little bit of an error here in that pattern 1 does have content on it. You can see here's pattern 2 and pattern 3. They're both showing that tracks 1 through 5 have content on them. Pattern 1 is not showing that for some reason. So just a little bit of bugs that are still going on. Yeah, Hero, I just explained that. It's a bug. it's a bug. We don't know why. Oh, did it just blink? I swear to God, it just blinked. Yeah, something weird's going on there. We're not in firmware 1 yet, so we're still dealing with some oddness. All right, so that's song mode. It's also where you adjust the tempo, so that's really cool. Let's show perform mode. Now this is really cool. Let's see. Okay. How easy is it to make things triplets 3/4 times? You can go into your pattern and change the pattern length to something that's going to be, let's see, let's go to a different pattern so I don't fuck this up. Pattern 4, length 24 would be that. It looks like it's still showing stuff in a grid of 4. So you can use the roll function to get triplets within this if you want. So I guess it's going to be easier to do triplets than it is to write in 6/8. So let's say I wanted to, here, we'll just do this real quick. I've never tried this before, so that's a really good question. It's always a good test of a sequencer, is how it deals with somewhat unconventional non-4/4 stuff. So, whoops, steps 4. So we're still going to use the 4/4 grid. And we'll make this 16 just so we can do this. And let's go ahead and pick a hi-hat for this. I'm going to hit Shift Home to go back to the top. Instrument 5. Okay, great. We're going to, let's see. Let's go ahead and do, this should be fine. Let's go into FX1 and go into Roll. And pick our roll. No, that's not it. Oh, this might not work. No. Interesting. Oh, that's a good point, Juro. It's based on the number of steps in your pattern. Yeah, but my point is that it's maybe hard to see right now, but there are these highlights on every single 4 steps. So it doesn't really, like, it's not really conducive to looking at it in terms of triplets, which sucks. I'm trying to see if there's any other thing here that would like help us with this. And I don't see anything, so that kind of sucks. But like, yeah, you could do some math, I guess. I'm just disappointed that the roll thing doesn't have like a triplet amount. That's a cool roll. Oh, that's also cool. Huh, neat. There's all different kinds of roll modes. So yeah, you'd have to do some math. So let's see. If I want this to be triplets, I would change the step value to either 6 or 4, or excuse me, 6 or 3. Let's go ahead and delete this. I said delete. Notes, Shift, delete. And we're going to delete these. Shift, delete. Okay, so back to instrument 1. Step 6, and then let's see, this should be instrument 5, note step 3. I think this might work. Nope. Let me think a little bit harder real quick. Yeah, I mean, I guess, and then I can go into pattern or song, turn this up. Oops. There. Are you happy now? It's possible. You just have to do a little bit of math. All right, let's go back to perform mode. Check my battery levels on everything. All right, we're still doing good. All right, perform button. Okay. We don't want this pattern. So in perform mode, right now what I'm doing is I am setting each one of these. Here's your 8 tracks, right? Second. Okay. Down here it says pattern. Each one of these tracks can trigger, so one of your 8 tracks can be on a different pattern. So this could be on pattern 2, this could be on pattern 3, this could be on pattern 4. And it will trigger after this pattern's done. So you can actually change between patterns individually for every single track in perform mode, which is really fucking cool. And you saw that it quantizes to the end of the pattern. So, you know, if pattern 4 has a different pattern length, for instance, this pattern is, this pattern that we're dealing with right now is, excuse me, burp, 32 steps. But pattern 2 has a length of 64. You can, in perform mode, mix different pattern lengths, which is really, really cool. And we're also going to talk about what's going on here, these punch-in effects. I actually just learned about these today, and I'm actually really fucking stoked on them. So you can see volume, panning tune, low pass cutoff, high pass cutoff, band pass, reverb send, sample position, sample end, sample playback, pattern length, and step repeater. These can be adjusted. I just hit record. You can see now that I have a selection around this right here. If I were to hit, I believe, either left or right or up or down, I would change what this particular effect is. But it would also erase my parameters that I've set right here. Do you have a rough idea how you can run it off like a power bank? You know, you probably just plug the power bank into it via the USB-C thing here. So there's a couple ways that you can interact with perform mode. And what is really cool is see all these values right here. I went and set these values, and now these correspond to these grid buttons here. So right now this is all off because that's how I've set it. So let's just go ahead and fuck with this a little bit. When I hit one of these keys here, depending on which tracks I have selected, I will now affect them with this thing. So I just held down every track except for the kick. How long? No, I don't know. Sorry. I have never tried running it off a battery pack. I'm sure that information will come out at some point. Someone wants to send me a battery pack, I'll give it a try for them. I'll just sit here and push play and see how long it lasts. I don't own a battery pack, so... okay, so I've selected every track but the kick. I don't know if you can see via the video, but there's like a little red square around these tracks now that I've selected them. Obviously, I can select more than one at once, which is really nice. All right, let's start playing with this. I've set tune to plus 12, and let me show you that this value here I can adjust. So if I hold down this slot's value, I can like turn this up to 24 if I want. And, oops, hey, go up to 24. Do I have to hit record? No, whatever. I can adjust that if I wanted to, and then have that amount be 24. But here I have the low pass filter. Here I have the high pass filter. Band pass filter. I can send the whole thing to the reverb. Sample position can change the sample position to a value on the fly. So the sample start position. Same with sample end. Sample playback. That's set to reverse. So this is what you were hearing in the beginning when the stream started. And by the way, that sort of mechanical whine that you're hearing, it's not coming from the Polyend. It's my Zoom. Something's wrong with it. So don't think that this has a noisy output. It doesn't. You can actually set the pattern length. Which is really cool. And then step repeater, which is a very cool effect. So with these effects in combination with being able to change the patterns here on the fly by going like selecting the thing and changing the pattern, you actually have a really cool performance section right here. And the fact that you can customize each one of these things. So, you can see I'm just changing this now. So I actually have access to volume LFO speed, padding LFO speed, filter LFO speed, granular LFO. There's the step repeater again. You can see since I moved away from it, it reset all my values. Pattern play mode. So I can actually reverse the pattern on the fly, the whole pattern as opposed to individual samples. And yeah, you would go and set these values. Oh, this random. That's cool. Forward, back, random. Let's fuck with that real quick. Whoa, that's fucking awesome. Anyways, yeah, that's really fucking cool. So you can customize your performance effects for each song, each file. And file stuff is handled over here. I just hit the file button. I can save this. I can save as. I can hit new project. I can open a project. I can import a mod file. A mod file is sort of what the trackers pack their things as. So like if you've ever heard of the mod scene, in regards to trackers, like mods are sort of like the compiled sequencer data and sample data for the thing. So you can export mods from this and you can import mods from this. I'm not 100% sure as to what the full compatibility between different trackers are, because like I don't know if you'd be able to import a renoise mod into here or whatever, but whatever. Save this real quick. We can see it saving the project. Nice little feedback. One of the cool things about save as is you can auto name. So there are these like sort of like weird combinations of words, and if you just don't want to name something, you can just sort of like hit auto name and it will. Quack Jelly. Quack Jelly is one of the best names I've ever heard. So yeah, you could just make a IDM album, just have it call weird things. Wholesale Fog, Sweet Wave, Gray Applaud. Export. I'm not going to hit this because I'm not sure exactly right now what is available in export, and I don't want to crash the system, but export song. So this is going to export a stereo file. Export song stems. You can actually export all 8 tracks as stems to the SD card. Export pattern. So this is exporting the pattern that you are currently working on, and export pattern stems. There will also be export to mod when this thing is done. So you'll be able to make a mod file. I know, Quack Jelly. Quack Jelly is the best name ever. So that's pretty much it. That is the tour of this friend. I would like to play you my mod that I made, my jungle track, but I do want to open up the floor to questions before I move on to that. So does anybody here have any questions about anything that I didn't cover? While I clean my screen. Play the mod. I will. I want to know if there's any questions. How am I doing today? I'm okay. I got in a really dark, negative mind space last night about some stuff, sort of an ancillary, or what do you call it? About the quarantine, but like the way that people are dealing with it on social media, and stuff. It's just weird. I was being dumb, so I drank some vodka and watched this really great thriller horror movie called Coherence, which was directed by one of the main writers for Rango, which is just weird considering the movie. And if you liked Primer, the movie Primer. I really, really recommend you watch Coherence. It's excellent. It's super micro budget, just a really, really solid concept. It's really, really good. Can you try Pattern Divider to see if there are changes where the highlight... What? Can you try Pattern Divider to see if changes where the highlight is in the pattern? So that's a good question. Let's see. Perform. So what's going to happen here is... if I hit pattern now, it's not going to have those... it's not going to have those effects on it anymore. That you can hear the effects come off when I switch between performance and pattern. So I'm not going to be able to show you that. Like, I can't answer your question. I'm assuming if I could look at this interface while the perform effects were going, that would be the case. But they stop once you leave perform mode. Boop 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 boop. So just to reiterate. So we are in random playback mode right now. We've got a bunch of stuff going on, but if I hit pattern, they turn off. The other movie, there's a couple other movies that it reminded me of, Coherence. There's a movie called I can't remember what it's called, but it's about a group of people that get together at a house for a dinner party, and basically the apocalypse happens. It's very good, and I recommend it. And then there's a really, really great time fuck loop movie called Triangle, with a female protagonist that is really, really... Yeah, The Invitation. That's it. Yeah, so it reminded me of a combination of Primer, The Invitation, and Triangle. And Triangle's another movie that I hella recommend. And I think I might watch that tonight because it's been a long time since I've seen it. I really liked it. Oh, and I also watched Dr. Sleep, finally, and I really liked it. I am kind of dubious about Michael Flanagan's directing, especially the way that he fucked up, what do you call it? The end of Haunting of Hill House. But I thought Dr. Sleep was really, really good. I thought that it had one of the best children characters that I've ever seen. She was awesome. There's some scenes that were fantastic. How'd you like Parasite? I haven't seen that yet. I've been kind of avoiding it for some weird reason. Maybe it's my inability to process subtitles that aren't on B-Stars right now. Yeah, it was good? Okay. I will try to watch it. I know it's an important movie. Have you all watched Beastars, the Netflix anime that's like Dark Zootopia? I just finished the first season. It was pretty good. It was a lot hornier than I expected. I was very surprised at how horny that show was. Anyways, hey, even if I think even non-furries can look at Beastars and be like, this is way horny. Like, it's just unbelievably horny. And that's all the trash we will have on the thing. So without further ado, I will move on to playing the mod now if you all want me to. Do you have any more questions about this? I guess I can answer questions about the mod that I'm going to play. How's the screen readability glare on the tracker in bright light? Synchronicity was real good. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. The screen brightness is really good. If I go into config, I can actually change the pad brightness and screen brightness. So let me go ahead and change the pad brightness to high, and the display brightness right now is at high. And it's like a anti-glare screen on it, so it's pretty chill. Let's see, pattern divider. What is pattern divider? Oh, wait a second. There it is, baby. All right. So remember how I said that the grid was stuck in 4.4? If you go into config and hit pattern divider, you can change this to any value between 1 and 16. So here's your way you can get a grid that looks more like triplets, which is dope. Okay. Question about the screen glare. I'm going to move my head around real quick. It definitely likes to be looked at head on. It almost looks like it has sort of like a privacy screen going on when you move your head around. And the fact that it disappears at off angles pretty quickly. But from where I'm standing, it looks really, really good. And if I move my head more over it, it looks really, really good. So that's cool. Okay. Well, I am going to open up my mod file. Open. It's called Killer Sounds. Hopefully it's not clipping like crazy. We're going to have to do a little... But yes, it does sequence externally at all. I think you might have missed it right at the beginning. There is a 3.5 millimeter MIDI jack, 1/4... God damn. 1/8 inch out MIDI jacks in the back. So you get those little 1/8 inch MIDI to MIDI DIN adapters, and you can do that, like sort of if you're using the key step or something like that. Let me just play a pattern real quick here. You guys need to tell me if this is clipping, okay? How's the volume on that? Someone, let me know. Is that clipping? Is it okay? Sounds good? Okay, great. So let me go into song mode, and I'm going to play you my mod. So this will be included in, I think this should be included in the demo songs when this thing ships out. So here we go.
Yeah, proper team, proper. Yeah, proper team, proper.
Is really loud and I don't know why. There's some shit that's like not playing back right now, and I'm not exactly sure why. chords are all samples. Hey, so that's the mod. It sounded really weird playing back, and this is the first time I played this back using this particular firmware, and I feel like it fucked something up. So I'm going to have to go back and figure that out, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, that's what I have been doing with the Polyend Tracker, and will be doing more of. It's really, really fun. I like it a lot. It's very tactile. It's very immediate once you start getting to know how the tracker works. Is live automation recording possible? Yeah, it is. I mean, so automation in this case is handled via these. What am I doing here? Oh, cool. This is a pattern view where you can actually see like just the notes or just the instruments or just the effects, which is pretty cool. Live pattern automation, I believe, would be handled via. Let me go into pattern 48. No, there we go. Pattern 150. Just because. So if I go to effects 2 and I hit record and I choose, let's say, glide. This isn't really going to be a great example, but I should be able to, let's just put some notes in. Okay, so if I go to FX2, I should be able to play stuff back. I should be able to like real-time glide this. Oh no, I forgot how... Sorry, I forgot how real-time recording works. Maybe it's just notes that I can do it. Huh, I forgot how real-time recording works. I know it's possible. Sorry, I can't remember. Oh, look at that. That's cool. Learn something new every day. Anyways, it's possible. I would think that it would work in the same way that you would do real-time note recording, but you would just switch to one of the other lanes and make sure that you're on record, if that makes sense. Yeah, you like that? It's my new track. It's my new banger. Feedback, please. I don't know what that means. This is my first beat I made in FL Studio. Yeah, same. I wonder if we went into instrument parameters and we went into the LFO for volume, if this would actually like, I guess the is this, yeah, let's go into instrument parameters again, turn the volume down. I guess not. I was hoping I could like almost like call it sidechain this thing right here, but I guess not. I guess that anyways, what an amazing experiment. Yeah. We're probably gonna what is this one called? Childlike Airport. We're probably gonna call it here in a second, but I'll take final questions and let me know if you have any questions real quick. Yeah, thank you all for coming by. I'm glad I got a chance to show this off. The next live stream will probably be about the Pro 3 by, what do you call it, Sequential, if I can actually fit it over here. We'll see. We'll see. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you all stay safe and stay sane. Do whatever you need to. Don't forget to take care of yourselves and self-care and all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you on the Discord, and I'll get this stream up as soon as I possibly can. Yeah, I hope that all of you have gas now for this thing, because it's fun. It's fun. Take care. I love you. You're wonderful. Goodbye.